Hi, welcome to session 2. In this session, as discussed in the outcome, we would be first moving ahead with the Matplotlib package. Matplotlib package is the most popular package used in data visualization. The steps are very simple. You first need to import the package into your environment. So we'll be starting with the PyPlot interface. Now, PyPlot interface is the most common Matplotlib interface that is used for drawing different type of plots. So these are the simple commands. You have to first start with import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Now plt is just a context, so that when you give the code, you don't need to write the entire pyplot word or the matplotlib.pyplot word. You have to simply use plt. So to import the matplotlib, you need to simply give this command, and this second command, which will draw the subplots for your graph. That means it will draw the axis for your graph, and then plt.show, it is a command that you have to give to see, or to see the graph on your screen, or see the plot on your screen. So before I will showcase you into the interface, but before that you need to understand what we are talking about. So suppose this is what is a subplot is all about. The y axis, the x axis, these two are the axis. All right, so y axis is there, so which is the dependent variable. Then x axis is there, which is known to be the independent variable. And then you put the title here, and y label, and the x labels. All right, so ideally we can say there are four x's, 1 2 3 4, but these two x's are not used, so we use only this vertical and the horizontal one. So vertical is y, and the horizontal is x. All right, so if you go with this in the Jupyter notebook, so this is very simple. You take this code, go into the notebook. So the first is importing the package, then the plt module. And if you run this, so this is what you get. All right, a simple plot area. All right, so this is the x-axis of the plot area, this is the y-axis of the plot area. All right, and this is where the y label can be written, the x label can be written, the title of the graph, and so on. All right, so this is just how you can clean your hands on using Matplotlib on the interface. So okay, so now if you use this plt dot subplot, which I have just used here, so this will just give you a plain area, an area with two axes, the y-axis and the x-axis, and some figures which doesn't have any meaning here for the time being. So if you instead, if you plot something, like for example, if I take this yeah, so if I take this one, so plt dot plot, let's say I write the code here. So we paste the code here. So plt dot plot, that means I want to plot these two things. All right, so if I take the run command, this is, see what you have, a beautiful line plot. Okay, so you really don't need to tell the Python to do, or what to do and how to do. You have to simply put up the data. The right code has to be there. Now since we are using the plt context, so that's why the plt has been used, plt dot plot. So I am asking Python, or the that to plot using these two data. Okay, so this first list, 1 2 3 4, these are the two lists. So this first list, which contains 1 2 3 4, it will become the x-axis values, and this will become the y-axis value. All right, so 1 2 3 4, this first is x, and the second is y. So 1 2 3 4 represents the values on the x-axis, and 1 4 2 3 represent the values on the y-axis. So you don't need to tell the Python, or the Matplotlib, that you have to take this x and you have to take this y. So when you put up the data, it's a by default that the first list has been taken as the X values, and the second list will be taken as the Y values. All right. So if you don't give any command, you just simply write plt.subplot. It will give you an empty subplot area. But if you give certain values to it, it will draw, by default, it will draw a line chart for you. Okay. So this is how it goes. All right, so let's understand the anatomy of a figure, because it's very important before we move ahead to understand what our plot is all about. So let's say this is a plot area. All right, so this is y-axis which you have. This is the x-axis which you have, and let's say you have plotted two lines. This blue line, this which is showing the blue signal, and this is the red line which is showcasing the red signal. Okay, so this is your y-axis. This is your x-axis. Here it would be the y labels, means the label of y-axis, and on the x-axis you can have the x-axis label. Then on the above you can have title. Just follow my cursor. Above here you can have the title, so you can give a title to the figure. We would be discussing what commands are required. This is all about customizing your plots. When you give the data, what you get is only a plot. You don't get any customizations with you. Like for example, here when I have asked when I have given this command plt.plot, these are the x-axis values, these are the y-axis values. So I have not customized my plot. If you see here, I will get a line plot, but there is no X label, there is no YY label, there is no title to this plot because I have not given anything. So by default, the Python will not take it. The Matplotlib library will not understand what is the X label and what is the Y label. These are customizations that you need to do in your plot. So unless and until you will do these customizations, it will not work. Okay. So these are certain very important customizations that you need to do. So later on, we'll discuss how these customizations are done. And these are the legends on the right top. You can see these are the legends. So again, the graph will not automatically take the legends. You have to give the code to tell the plot or the matplotlib, see, these are the legends that you have to write. All right. And this entire is the grid area. So normally you will not see any grids developed because you have to tell Python that you want the grids to be shown. So that's again you need to add. That's again a part of customization. So these dashes are known as ticks. So these are the y-axis ticks. These are the x-axis ticks. These tick values. So these can even be customized. Uh, and all this customization we would be discussing later on. All right, so that's a basic anatomy of a plot when you move ahead with the Matplotlib library. So three codes I have shared here. One is if you give this command, it will draw you an empty figure and there would be no access. If you give plt.subplot, it will give you access. We have just done it above. And then another interesting command here is plt.subplot 2 comma 2. Now this will give you a 2 by 2 grid of axes. Let's see how this works. Let's see how this works. All right. Let me take one by one. All right. Let me take this one for you. So okay. So let's see what is there. Nothing. Now since the figure is empty, so ideally nothing has come. Let's take the second one. Let's take this one. Let's see what comes here. Okay. Now here it will give you an empty plot. There will be a y-axis, there would be x-axis, but nothing is there because the data is not there. Now here, since I have not mentioned any axis, I have simply said figure is equal to plt.figure. So Python is not able to understand what I am talking about. There is no axis. Now since there is no axis, there's an empty figure. So you cannot idly see anything. But when you give the axis, so the library will give you the figure, but there is no data into it. There are no labels, there are no X label, there is no Y label, there are no legends, there are no title, because everything is a part of customization that we have to go for. Let's take this third one. Let's take this third one. Let's see how this works, because this is a little more interesting. So let's say I take this code here. So now I have mentioned 2 comma 2. So let's say what happens. Whoa. Can you see this? Can you see this, how this works? What level of customization you can do with your access? Now this is more useful when you want to plot multiple data on the same graph. Now what happens when you plot multiple data on the same area? Sometimes it get too messy, and it's difficult to understand and make comparisons between the trends and patterns of different data sets. So instead of plotting all of them on one plot, it's better you draw a grid. Maybe it draw like this is 2 by 2. You can draw a 2 by 1 grid also. Depends how you want to showcase your data. We'll be discussing these customizations later on in detail. So when you draw this plot, what you can do now, you have four areas. So every area has its own x-axis. Now this has its own x-axis. This has its own x-axis. This subplot has its own axis. This subplot has its own axis. And similarly, y-axis is different for all of them. So now if you have four different data sets, which the two, you can do two things. One, you can draw all the four data sets. Let's say share prices of four different companies. So you can draw the share prices of all the four companies in a single area. So probably that will get too messy, and you will not be in a position to understand or make some comparative analysis. Or the other way out is, you draw a subplot of this type, and in each subplot you place single data set. For example, in this area, we can plot the data set of ICICI Bank. Here you can plot the data set of HDFC Bank. Here you can go for Centurion Bank or Punjab National Bank or whatever it is. Here you can place the share movements of, let's say, SBI Bank, and so on. So this way you can visualize all the movements of all the four companies together, and can draw comparative analysis as well. So that's the power of using subplots, and you can customize it any level. So I'm giving a 2 by 2 grid. You can give a 2 by 1 grid also, and or whatever, any number of data sets you want to plot. All right. Now before we take the things ahead, there are few important basics that I want you to know, because I would be using these things again and again. I have used, actually, so far. List I have already used, just few minutes before. So it's very important for you to understand, because without this you might get confused later on. So there are few important data structures. Not, in a Python you can actually input different types of data structures, right? So one of the data structures is list. Now list is simply a collection. Like for example, I want to create a list of containing numbers of 2014. So it can be a number or it can be text. The only difference is, if you are creating a list containing text, then it has to be in single quote or double quote. Otherwise, Python will give an error, because for Python it's a number. So if you want Python to understand it's a text, you have to give it in a single or double quote. All right. And similarly, dictionary. Now dictionary is something which is an unordered collection of data values. The lists are ordered. They have a definite count. They are not indefinite. Like for example, it's like, three values are there. So I cannot extend it indefinitely. I have to end it somewhere. Okay, 10, 20, 14. So I want my list to contain these three values. So ordered and definite. Dictionary is an unordered. It's not important that some order has to be there. And like the most important feature of a dictionary is that it holds a key value pair. Just follow my cursor. Key value pair, right? For example, just see here, dictionary dict. So I have just, we can use any other word. I have used dict is equal to. The important is that dictionary is made in curly brackets. Okay, list has a square bracket. We have used square brackets above, but for dictionaries we have this curly brackets. All right. So like one, so this is colon geeks. Two, colon four. Three, colon geeks again. Now what I'm doing, one is the key, and I want to tell Python that this key holds a value which is equal to geeks. Two is a key which holds the value equal to 4. 3 is a key which holds the value equal to geeks. All right, so it's a key value pair. This is the key, and every key has its own particular value. And this way I can go it extensively as much as I can. So every key value pair is separated by a comma. This is one key value pair separated by a comma. This is another key value pair separated by a comma. This is another key value pair, and so on we can go. If I want to go for empty dictionary, I can simply give the opening and closing curly brackets, and it will initiate the empty dictionary. So that's what dictionary is all about. Then is tuple. Now, tuples are very much useful. Um may not be in data visualization much, but yes, if you are going for other types of things, then tuples are of great usage. So they are just like list. The only difference between tuple and list is that tuples cannot be changed. You can change list as much as you can. You can add, subtract, whatever you want to add. Suppose I want to extend my list. I can extend my list, not an issue. But tuples cannot be changed. And then again, for list, you use square bracket. For tuples, you use parenthesis. Okay, so list square bracket, dictionary curly brackets, and tuple, you have to use parenthesis. Okay, so tuples cannot be changed. Like for example, I'm creating a tuple by the name of this tuple, which holds a value apple, banana, cherry. So now I have developed a tuple. So whenever I will access this tuple, it will give me these three values, but I cannot change it. If you take it as a list, you can change. If you take it, if you have once you have made a tuple, you cannot change it. Okay, that's the major difference between the list and the tuple. So these three are the very common things that you will be seeing ahead, especially list and dictionary. So you should know it. Just give me a quick outlook of how these things, looks in Python. Suppose I want to create a list. Let's say list. Okay, and then let's say print. So you have to uh, use the print command. So let's see what happens. The output is 10, 20, 14. All right, that's the list. Suppose you want to take list as a geeks as a text, sorry. So this whole text value, so print, and let's say I want to print list, and let's say the run command. So it will give me the text values. It's important that single and double quotes are used whenever we are trying to go for text or the strings. Then dictionary. Suppose this is the dictionary I want to create. So dictionary, curly brackets, very important. Print dictionary. So let's say what comes. Oh, the key value pairs. The one holding the value geek, the two key holding the value for, and so on. And similarly, a tuple. So let's say I develop a tuple. So this tuple, and let's say I print this tuple, run, and so my tuple contains the value apple, banana, cherry. The only difference is I cannot change it. Once the tuple is done, you cannot change it. It has to be unchanged. All right. So these are certain basics that you need to know before we head into this course. So that's for session 2. Thank you so much.